Good day, good day. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Today is about what is fraud and what's not fraud. Be sure to like us, share this video. You don't know who you could be helping that might need some help. And today we're gonna get a clear understanding of what is fraud and what is not fraud. A lot of people don't have a clear understanding on PPP. So we're going to give you some more insight to PPP today so that more people can qualify before the money runs out and before you miss out on something that could be on your tax return that could get you PPP. But because of the lack of knowledge, a lot of people don't understand what's going on and how it can be done. So we're going to go over that. And while Facebook builds our audience, I want you to check out this short video of what we have to offer. Today, we are talking about PPP. Not only we're talking about PPP, but we're talking about PPP fraud. As a lot of people saw this past week, that people got a hold to the PPP list and everybody wanted to scream, everybody's going to jail. How did they get PPP? Unless you have seen someone's tax return, don't speak so fast. Don't speak on it. I saw where people were saying, oh, that person does not have a business. So we're going to talk about sole proprietors today and what's fraud and what's not fraud. Fraud is if you try to get PPP for something you started after the pandemic. That is if it wasn't already established by February the 15th for PPP. And of 2020, that means a month before the pandemic, then that's when you could have been doing that. You didn't need a LLC. I don't know why people have that in their head. There are more business types, and I'm going to repeat this. There are more business types than a LLC. A LLC does not mean that that's the only business type there is. And the government understands this, but we need you, the people, to understand this. So when the PPP list arrived on the internet, then people saw that people got PPP in their personal names and they did not have a LLC. And then they was like, oh, they committed fraud. Okay, the government put out that list. Why did they put out that list? Because it is government funds. And when it's government funds, oh, Eric, I'm glad you're awake. Government funds, and it's dealing with a business, remember, because it's not dealing with personal information. That's why the government published it, because it is transparency to show you how the government spent government money on PPP. So since it's for businesses and a sole proprietorship, that means me as a person, Erica Simpson, with my social security number, if I'm a gig worker, if I drive for Uber, if I dance on a pole at night, if I am a hairstylist, anything where I don't get taxes taken out on me, I don't have to have a LLC to be a sole proprietor. I qualify for PPP. So that's why people saw individual people's names, because they're doing business as themselves, because they understood that they did not need to be a LLC in order to do business. So they could file for PPP under their social security number. So do you think the government, if the government didn't think that they were a business or didn't recognize their personal name as a business, they wouldn't have been able to get the PPP? Now, have people done fraud to get PPP? There is, and it was announced last week during one of the meetings with Congress, that they are suspecting that there's about a 8% fraud rate with PPP. Now, 8%. So that means 92% of the people, they feel as though they legitimately got PPP. Well, when you listen to, and I've been saying that people that know nothing about nothing, well, guess what? I'm going to put it in layman terms today. If you listen to stupid people, then they're going to make you react in a stupid way. So if you don't understand something, it's better to get knowledge on it, get a better understanding on it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how you can get PPP with your personal name, your personal social security number, so that you can understand that you don't need an LLC. And if you formed an LLC afterwards, fraud is when you turn in one tax return to the government and you turn another tax return into the lender that's giving you your PPP. That is fraud. But if you've got this on your tax return and you turn it into a lender, that is not fraud. I've heard this week that people are saying, oh, if you do PPP, that's going to open you up for an audit. Guess what? When you fill out your tax return every year, guess what? That opens you up for an audit. You've got a percentage, a rate that you could be audited based on your tax return. So if you already lied to the government once and you're using that same tax return to lie to them again, guess what? You're going to be equally in hot water. And would you rather, if you're using that tax return when you filing people on your income tax that you're saying that their kids are your dependents and now you're fighting with them over stimulus money, guess what? That's fraud. When people say that they don't live in this place, but they live in another place to get benefits, if they get food stamps in 2 states, all of that stuff is fraud. But because you don't have an understanding, or that person doesn't have a payroll according to you all, then you say it's fraud. When you are a sole proprietor, guess what? Your payroll is yourself. It is you only. So guess what? When you get PPP funds for payroll, it is for you because you're a sole proprietor. You're the only person in that. Hey, Walt, baby, we all want to be rich. And guess what? A lot of people are giving people this falsehood, and PPP can help you get, depending on what's on your taxes, you can be almost $42,000 richer with free money than you were out here in the struggle, being broke. So you got to pick your heart. Understand, hey, one and only Graham. So what I want to say to you, that everything is not fraud. That flour that y'all and those people that y'all never gave them, flip their $100 to $800. That $400 you took from people that you said you was gonna give them $4,000, but nobody ain't never heard no more about that flour no more because that flour stopped and y'all quit bringing people in. That's fraud. But we ain't gonna talk about that. So people pick and choose what they want to talk about. So I want you to be more educated in what you're saying so that you're not out here sounding crazy. And also, you might even be making yourself miss out of money by talking to stupid people, and stupid people that's just spreading propaganda around, or stupid people that they really hating on the low because either they don't know how to get PPP or they're not eligible for PPP. So guess what they do? They want to, put all this negative stigma against people that are legitimately getting what they're supposed to. Oh, how many people did unemployment fraud? Why they do unemployment fraud? Because unemployment fraud was easy to do. All you have to do is go on the computer and blah, 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 blah. Guess what? The scammers and, it's going to take some of them a little bit more effort and time to get all the documents together that's needed for PPP. So some of the people that like to do the easy fraud, like credit card fraud, they want to put all this propaganda out there to make people feel like, oh, you're going to jail. And then you got people, you're putting fear into people that legitimately need this money and can get this money because they listening to stupidity. That's all it is. And question or understand your source as to everything is not fraud, but those easy come ups people want to jump on the bandwagon for, but anything that they don't understand, they want to put a negative stigma to it. So what I'm going to do today is I am going to show you I was scared, but not since I started listening. Oh, I'm glad that you made a decision to start watching. And I'm glad. I'm gonna put this up there. Yes, I'm glad that you are understanding, and that's a part of why I keep doing this. That's why I keep coming on live, because there are so many people that don't understand. But I'm glad you're here. You're here. You're educating yourself so that way you can know what your next move is going to be, your next strategy. And guess what? It could change not only your situation, but it can change someone else in your circle. So don't forget to like and share these videos. But yeah, I'm glad you and this warms my heart, and these are the intrinsic rewards that I get from doing these videos, is that here you are. And somebody's got to break it down to you. And the government is not always putting the information out there to make it as easy to understand. And that's why I feel like this is my vocation to get on here. I mean, nobody's paying me to get on here. I got my round 1, my round 2. I got my PPP last year, but I could have just kept all the information to myself, because a lot of times people got crab bucket mentality. Oh, I don't want to. And I've even told people, hey, you got a business. Okay, those people that you issue 1099s to, each one of them qualify. Guess how many? I done seen a lot of business owners that they wouldn't even tell the people that, help them, because they're not employees, they're independent contractors, that they issue 1099s to, and they're not even trying to help them get the money. I've talked to people in front of other people, and they were sitting there amongst people. Oh, I already got my PPP. This person is a person you talk to every day, and she knew you were eligible for PPP, but she didn't tell you how to get it. That's a problem within itself to me. So you got to change your circle, change the people that you're around, do things differently. Oh, thank you, Miss Thrower. Yes, please do. I will read anybody's tax return for free. I saw where girls charging people $25 to ask a PPP question, and she admitted on her live that she hadn't even got her PPP. So I said, this woman out here charging people $25 to ask them for them to ask her a question, and she been waiting on her PPP since February? That don't make no sense to me. But hey, whatever. If you want to go with those people, I'm not here to convince you to follow me or anything like that. I'm here to get the information out. and for the people that are listening and taking heed, and I'm making a difference for them, that's what I'm here for. I'm not here for the negative people. I'm not here for the naysayers. I'm not here for the people that don't have an understanding and don't want an understanding. But I am here for people like the Only One Graham, who appreciates this and makes my heart warm to know that, you know, I'm making a difference. If I make a difference for one person, guess what? I've more than done my job. Remember, the rent we pay here on earth is service. And everything should not be about yourself or how you're going to get something for yourself. I see that all the time. People are constantly just grabbing and snatching from people, and they ain't never got nothing to offer you. But every time you turn around, can you or do you know, or can you or do you know? But when they know something, they're not going to offer it. If they even don't know if you know or you don't know, they're still not going to offer it. It's people out here that are just, I don't know. It's sad. It's really sad that people do not want to be good to other people, but they want to be users and abusers. And then when they never get anywhere in life and they always stuck at the bottom, they can't figure out why. And then the people that are thriving and making things happen and going out here and listen to stuff like this, because remember, self-education will make you a fortune. Formal education will make you a living. I'm going to say that again. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. The fortune is in the follow-up. So guess what? You got to self-educate, because there's a lot of people walking around here with degrees, $500,000 in student loans, and they not nowhere financially where they should or could be. So you got to self-educate yourself and make sure you understand. So that leads me into where I'm actually going with this today. I'm going to share my screen with you because I don't think that people fully understand what a Schedule C is and how you get a Schedule C so that you can ultimately qualify for PPP. So I'm going to put on my screen right now so that you can see. Sorry. So that you can see a Schedule C. So I hope that you can see the Schedule C on my computer screen. Now, right here, it says name of proprietor. Do you see that it doesn't say name of business? It says name of proprietor. That means that could be your personal name. That does not mean you need anything. You don't need a formal name. It can be your name, just like my name is Erica Simpson. The next over here, if you look over here, it says Social Security number. Does it say you need an EIN number? No. This Schedule C, and if you see Form 1040, this is a part of a personal tax return. That's not a business tax return. That's not an LLC corporate return. This is for a personal return. It says Social Security number. So guess what? If you are a sole proprietor, guess what? You can file for PPP under your Social Security number. It's not asking you for an EIN number. So whoever got you running around like a chicken with your head cut off, guess what? You don't need that EIN number. And another thing, that's fraud, because guess what? You're forming that LLC, that EIN number after February 15th, 2020. You don't think the government knows when they issue that EIN number? You don't think that the Secretary of State does not have a record of when you formed that LLC? But like I said, it says name of the proprietor. So we're going to go on to the next line. Principal business or profession, including product or service. Is it asking for for LLC. It's still not asking for an LLC. It says, what's your principal business or profession? And you don't even have to have a quote unquote business. It wants to know what is your profession. That means you can be a hairstylist, you can be an Uber driver, you can be a janitor. A lot of people doing janitorial services and their employer is paying them through a 1099. Uber is paying people through a 1099. You could be a contract laborer, a brick mason, and they issue a 1099 at the end of the year. Guess what? All of those people qualify. If you got a Schedule C, profit or loss from business, and then you see down there, it says sole proprietorship. It don't say LLC. It don't say EIN. It says sole proprietorship, profit or loss from business, Schedule C, principal business or profession. Guess what? Right there, that's where you can put do hair, whatever, cook food, cater. You selling food out your house. If you file one of these, guess what? You're eligible. If you do hair out your house and you file one of these on your tax return, may it be 2019 or 2020, guess what? You're eligible for PPP. Now, over here, enter code. That's your NASA's code. Usually your tax preparer will fill that out. Then it says business name. If no separate business name, leave blank. So that means that if you put your name up here and your social security number, it says if no separate business name, leave blank. That means that you don't need a business name to file one of these forms. So until you've seen somebody's tax bill, guess what? I mean, I'm not their tax bill, but their tax return don't say that they fraudulently got PPP, because it says right here, if no separate business name, leave blank. That means you don't have to put nothing there if you don't have a business name and you're using your name and your social security number. EIN number, that's the same as your tax ID number. It's not a required field, because guess what? If you're leaving the business name blank, you don't need an EIN number, because guess what? On this form, you've already put your social security number. Then it says business address. What you gonna put there? If you selling plates out your house, guess what? You put your home address right there. If you selling insurance out of your house, you put your address right there. If you are driving for Uber, that's where you put your address right there. If you are, I can't even think right now of what else you could be doing. You just put your home address. It doesn't require. Then it asks you, what's your account method? A cash, accrual, whatever. Then you got here, and then they're going off of line 7. I'm going to scroll down so that you can see line 7. Sorry, I'm not very good at this. Down here, it says line 7. I'm going to put all zeros so that you can see that. It says right there, where I put all those zeros, gross income. That means that before you wrote off your gas, any expenses, guess what? They're going to give you PPP off of line number 7. So that means that before your gas, entertainment, any of that stuff, or if you got a 1099, whatever's on your 1099 should have showed up there. Now, can you file off of unemployment? No, because that's not a business. The 1099 that you receive from unemployment is a 10G. So, a 1099G, which is totally different. You can't get a 1099C, because that means that you owe somebody some money and they had to write off your debt because you still didn't pay them. So it's a 10G. A 1099G, which you can't file of. It's got to be a plain 1099. So, or guess what? If you've been doing hair out of your house and you went to your tax preparer and you told them you made $12,000 last year, but you don't have a 1099 because there was nobody to give you a 1099, then they put $12,000 on your line 7, then you're eligible for PPP because you reported to the government that you made this amount of money. And that's when you're going to put that you made it in cash, and nobody's going to give you a 1099 off of that. So therefore, you want to make sure that that line 7 has a number there, and that's what they're going to calculate your PPP. So again, until you've seen somebody's tax returns, don't say that they did fraud, and the government is going to give them 2.5 times what they get before their expenses, and they can be working as a sole proprietor. They don't have to be a business. It can be their name. That's why you saw people's personal names on that list, and you saw how much money they got because the government gave them the money based on them being a sole proprietor. So with that being said, say you got 3 side hustles. You got a catering business, you clean up houses, and you do hair. Guess what? Some people got 3 of those on their tax return. So guess what? The government gave them PPP money based on all 3. They didn't just get it off one. They could have been doing hair. I got $10,000 from doing hair. I got $20,000 from my catering. I got another $25,000 from my janitorial. I clean up in buildings in the evenings. Guess what? They got 3 sources of income that came under a Schedule C, and they qualify for PPP for all 3 of them. So remember, knowledge is key before you start saying, oh, they did fraud. Check your tax return. If you're unsure, because I do know that some tax preparers are putting it on the first page. I had a traveling nurse. She could not find, she knew that she qualified for PPP because she had a Schedule C, but her tax preparer, because she didn't have any deductions like a normal business, he put it on her 1040 and just reported it. So she was able to give the bank her full tax return with her 1040 showing that she had a 1099 that did not report on a Schedule C, but they did reference it on her 1040. So you don't always have to have one on your personal return. It depends on how your tax preparer did your taxes. So get a better understanding, get more knowledge about what you're saying. Then people are saying, it's a loan, it's a loan. It's a forgivable loan. Forgivable, when you forgive something, that means you take it back. To forgive something means to take it back. The same thing when it's a forgivable loan, that means that the bank is going to take it back. And when they take it back, you owe 0. You owe nothing. Stop listening to stupid people that's telling you that's a PPP loan. That's a loan. Guess what? The caveat to it is it's a forgivable loan if you do the forgiveness. Now, if you decide not to do the forgiveness, it's a 1% loan. You can't go and borrow money anywhere for 1%. Then they saying, oh, I know somebody, they went and bought them a 18-wheeler off their PPP loan. That ain't how you supposed to do that. Guess what? It says that 60% must go back to payroll. Well, if you're a sole proprietor that's filed for PPP under your personal name, guess what? You're the only person that's on your payroll. Now, even though you don't take taxes out, you are the only person. So when you cut yourself, it says at least. That means the minimum of that money can cut the check back to you. Once you cut that check back to you, then guess what? That's your money to do what the hell you want to do. And that's what people don't understand, don't get. You can't tell people with pint-sized minds what gallon bucket mentalities are doing. And that's a issue within itself. So guess what? The people that got PPP, don't let these people put you in a frenzy because they just stupid and they just saying stupid stuff. Go check your tax returns before you tell somebody else they gonna go to jail, and see if you're eligible for PPP. You might be missing out on some money. You might be missing out getting your name on that list, because guess what? It's free money. The federal government has decided not to tax the money as income tax. So therefore, you got it. So, and even if they taxed it and took half of it, it was half that you did not have before now. So why are people making a big deal? Do what's best for you and what's in your best interest, and don't try to knock other people because you don't know or you don't understand something. Get an understanding, because on the other side of not having knowledge and wisdom is fear. And that's where when fear comes in, it's because you don't understand, you don't know. Get a better understanding before you start spewing out negativity or talking about stuff you don't know nothing about. So I just wanted to kind of go over Schedule C, let you see what a Schedule C looks like. If you want me to look at your tax return because you may not see it or you may not know how to read it in case you're a tax preparer. Now, seeing where some tax preparers, they did a Schedule C, but what if for whatever reason they took that part out of the person's tax return and they have to go back and request it to get it put back in so that they can get PPP. I'll take a look at your tax return. I don't mind doing that at all. If everyone buying their business, nobody won't know shit. Yeah, so the time that you spent looking through or scrolling through every name on that PPP list, you could have been doing some research that actually paid you. You could have been doing some research to find out when they do round 3, which we got our fingers crossed for round 3 of PPP, you could be figuring out, how can I be eligible for some of this stuff in the future? What do I need to do? How can I get my shit together? That's what you need to ask yourself. So guess what? Don't let people that know nothing about nothing stop your blessings, stop what you need to get done. And like I said, people want to know, well, why do people got their personal name? The government shouldn't have did that to those people. It's not privacy when it's a business, and they registered as a business when they took the PPP loan. So guess what? The government does not treat personal business the same way as they treat business. So therefore, those people's name went on that list because they were sole proprietors. And it wasn't because the government was violating their personal privacy, because it was a business loan. So get a good understanding. Remember, in difficulty lies opportunity, and make sure that you take advantage of all opportunities.